welcome to Let's Learn Everything About Division with Learnish. I'm Mrs. Rhonda. This video is an introduction to long division, and I'll answer questions like, what is division? How does it work? We'll talk about different methods to divide and long division using base 10 blocks. So we'll start with the question, what is division? Well, division is just sharing or grouping. It's to split into equal parts or groups, and it's fair sharing. When I was a kid, my mother had this rule. If there was, let's say, a cookie that my brother and I wanted to share, well, one of us, would split the cookie in half or divide it up, and then the other person got to choose their piece. Well, let me tell you, if I was the person who had to divide that cookie, I made sure to incorporate fair sharing because I wanted my equal piece. And that's what division is dividing things up into equal groups. Let's look at the parts of a division problem. My students know that I am big on vocabulary because math has a vocabulary of its own, and you have to understand the vocabulary to talk about the math. So let's look at this division problem. The 2 here is a divisor. That's what we're going to be dividing by. This dividend, 11, is the number that we're going to divide into equal parts. Remember we had the 8 dogs? Well, the 8 would go in here. That's the dividend. We divided them into 2 groups. That's the divisor. That's the 2. This is the remainder. In this case, we had some left over. 2 divided by 11 won't go in there evenly, so we have a remainder of 1. The quotient is the answer to the division problem. So 5 is our quotient. It's the answer. 5 with a remainder of 1. And our next question is, how does it work? Well, let me show you. Let's look at our first division problem. We have 8 cute dogs, and we want to divide them into 2 different groups. So our division problem is 8 divided by 2. And when you're writing a division problem for long division, always remember that you work from left to right, and this will help you. 8, and then divided by is 2 words. So let's write it like this. Divided by, and then 2 goes on the outside like this. So I'm going to divide them into 2 groups. There's 1. Here's the second group. So I have 8 dogs. They're divided up into 2 separate groups, and that leaves 1, 2, 3, 4 dogs per group. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 in this group also. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. I can also write it 8 divided by 2 equals 4. Let's try another one. In this problem, we have 10 dogs, and we're going to divide them into 2 groups. So we have 10 divided by 2. It can look like 10 divided by 2, or remember our trick for 10 divided by 2. So I'm going to put an even number of dogs in each group, and I need 2 groups. So that means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now then, I have 9 cute puppies, and I want to divide them into 3 separate groups. So that's 9 divided by 3. It can look like 9 divided by 3 also. So I'm going to make 3 groups. There's 1, 2, 3 groups. So I have 3 groups of 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And if you're going to look at a fact family, you also know that 3 times 3 equals 9. So division is kind of like multiplication in reverse. If you know 3 times 3 equals 9, you know that 9 divided by 3 equals 3. Let's imagine that you have 12 goldfish and you have 3 goldfish bowls to put them in. You need to know how many goldfish go in each bowl. So that division problem is 12 divided by 3, or 12 divided by 3. So let's think about what we know about 3 and 12. 3 times 4 equals 12, or 12 divided by 3 equals 4. So we have 12 goldfish, we have 3 bowls, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 goldfish in each bowl. 12 divided by 3 equals 4. So imagine that you went shopping and you found a great deal on fruit, and you bought fruit, so much fruit, 96 pieces of fruit. But you happen to have 8 friends that you'd like to give it to. You have 8 baskets that you can put it in. So the problem is you have 96 pieces of fruit. You want to divide it up into 8 separate baskets. So we're going to take 96 and divide it by 8. So this problem of 96 pieces of fruit divided into 8 baskets is a little bit bigger than the others that we've talked about earlier. But I happen to know my multiplication facts, which is really important when you're going to divide. And I know that 12 times 8 equals 96. So 96 divided by 8 equals 12. I can also do some quick long division, and 8 will go into 9 one time, and 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract 9 minus 8 is 1. Bring down my 6. 8 will go into 16 2 times, and 2 times 8 is 16 with no remainder. The answer is still 12, and we'll talk about long division in another one of the videos also. But if you know your multiplication facts, you can solve a problem like this pretty easily. 96 divided by 8 equals 12, and 12 times 8 equals 96. Now I'd like to show you how to divide using base 10 and unit blocks. So I'm going to divide 57 by 3. These red base 10 blocks represent the 50, and these green units represent the 7. So I'm going to place the base 10 blocks in these 3 rectangles, which represent the 3. I'm going to divide them evenly. So I moved 3 of these base 10 blocks over here to represent divided by 3 into our 3 rectangles, but I have a problem because I have 2 left over, or 20 units left over, and I can't put those evenly into these 3 rectangles, which represent my divided by 3, my 3 sections that I want to divide them to. I want to group them into 3 sections, and I can't do that. So I'm going to have to trade these 2 red base 10 blocks in for 20 green units. I traded in my 2 base 10 blocks for 10 1 unit blocks, and now I'm going to divide those evenly into these 3 groups over here. I traded in my 2 base 10 blocks for 10 1 unit blocks, and now I'm going to divide those evenly into these 3 groups over here. I placed each of the unit blocks into the 3 groups evenly, and so I have, for each group, I have 1 10, and I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 ones. And so 57 divided by 3 equals 19. Let's look at another problem. Now I'm going to divide 224 by 4. So I'm going to put 224 units evenly into 4 groups. And so to represent that, I have two 100 flats. There are 100 units in each of these flats. That represents the 200. Then I have two base 10s, and that represents 20. And I have 4 units, which represents the 4 ones. But I have a problem. I can't divide these 100 flats into 4 sections because I only have 2 of them. So I'm going to trade those in, each of them, for 10 base 10s. I exchanged my two 100 flats for 2 sets of 10 base 10s. So I have 10 20 base 10s, which represents the 200, and then I have 2 more base 10s, which represent my 20, and then I have 4 units for my 4 ones. Now I'm going to divide the base 10s into 4 equal groups. I divided my base 10s up evenly, and you notice that each of the groups have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 10s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have no hundreds. I'll put a 0 here, and I have 5 10s. But I also have 2 10s left over, and I have 4 units. So I need to trade these 2 base 10s in for 10 units each. So I traded my 2 base 10s for 2 sets of units of 10. So there are 10 here, and then I still have my 4 ones left over. So I'm going to take all of these units and divide them evenly into these 4 groups. So I divided my 24 units into 4 groups. And as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in each group. Each group has 6. Each group of 4 has 6. So 224 divided by 4 is 56. There are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units in each group of 4, or 56. 224 divided by 4 is 56. Thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you in part 2 of our division series.